If you're a fan of indie Metroidvanias, and the obvious one that springs to mind is Hyper Light Drifter, then I think you should take a look at Lila's Skyarc, because especially if you struggle with like the real top tier difficulty levels in some of these Metroidvania games, Lila's Skyarc is built from the ground up to be much more accessible while still providing puzzles and action challenges for you to tackle. Lila's Skyarc's primary draw for me was its weird and wonderful world. And whilst Lila herself is a bit of a blank slate, to be fair, the world around her is absolutely not. And it's got this kind of dark, creepy, but so quirky you can't help but want to poke round the corner and see what's happening style of art. And I totally dig it. So, for example, your dad is like a Cyclops sausage. All of the shop owners feel like dark, evil spirits that are kind of haunting you and taunting you at the same time. And it does all kind of tie into the story that's going on, but it's a little bit abstract. And whilst the story does deal with loss, loneliness, grief, depression, and trying to resolve your inner demons, you can actually miss an awful lot of the cues in some of this and just think, what on earth is this world? It's quite weird. A lot of the story is told through collectible letters as well as environmental clues too, so you need to kind of keep your eyes out on the ball for that. Lila isn't just a blank canvas in terms of story though, she's also kind of a blank canvas in terms of moves. And whilst you do get upgrades to her by clearing and killing each boss, which then in turn helps you open up new areas, they're largely built around traversal and puzzle solving rather than it being action based, because the action stays the same throughout, and this took me a while to get used to. Lila doesn't have a direct attack. She picks things up and throws the environment at everyone around her. So regardless of the type of, it might be like creepy animals, it might be rocks and boulders, it might be monkeys in trees, whatever it is that you've got that's going on, Lila will pick up either like crates or boxes or jugs, and then she'll throw them, and you can see kind of the projectile where it's going to go with the arrow that comes out from Lila. And you press and hold to kind of show how hard you want to throw something, i.e. how far you want to throw it. And then it will either smash into the enemy and hurt them, and depending on what you throw depends on how hard they're hurt. Or you can just pick up and smash up the environment around you to collect currency, which then allows you to buy potentially some upgrades in shops. The other thing that's inside all of these crates are other things that you can then throw at the enemies. But quite a lot of the puzzles revolve around throwing things too. So some of the things feel a little bit arbitrary, like throwing water pellets, which don't seem to do anything, and eyeballs confused me as well for most of the game. But then you'll get rocks, or you'll get bombs, or you'll get explodable eggs. All of these things are very helpful because if you've got like a cluster of enemies coming towards you, chuck an egg. If you've got some bells to ring to therefore move platforms around, but you have to throw a rock to ring the bell, then go for the easiest and most common thing that you can throw at it, because then you're not spending valuable resources on puzzle mechanics, to be fair. Now, all of this works really nicely together. So when you're dealing with a lot of the environmental puzzles, a lot of it will involve either moving stuff around. You gain an ability quite early on for you to be able to pick up heavy objects. Previously, that kind of blocks a lot of corridors, and then that allows you to progress through. But that then allows you to deal with like picking up and moving enemies and moving them to certain positions, which trigger environmental traps, which then unlock new areas for you, build bridges, all of that kind of stuff. And that's generally how the puzzles work. You've got one main through road for the main quest that you're doing, but lots of optional side quests will come up alongside you. And as part of your exploration, you'll also unlock a map. And this makes Lila's Skyarc much easier and enjoyable to progress through, because the Skyarc feels like a maze at times. And sometimes with Metroidvanias, you can kind of get a bit lost because you're going through sometimes a fog of war. But with Lila's Skyarc, so long as you find the map gem, and they're usually very, very easy to find on the beaten path, it will unlock the whole kind of area for you. And the reason why that's key is because the Skyarc is not just one big sprawling map, but it's also levels as well, like a 5-story building. And so you'll kind of slip up and down them sometimes through these like gooey pink tongues. And that's what I mean by like being, it's weird yet and creepy yet cool at the same time. And then you'll end up like down in the sewer underworld, and you'll need to flip to the new map and kind of work out, okay, this is where this section goes. And then you'll work out where the exit is and where that will pop out. And it just helps you navigate around to what are the next points on the map that are highlighted to either progress the story through the little butterfly ladybird thing that flies around telling you where the next bit of the story is, or some of the optional extras that you've unlocked along the way. The other thing that's worthwhile pulling out for this game is that there's a poetic music inspiration that runs throughout the game, but it's not a rhythm or music game at any point. So all of the bosses are related to like members of a music band. So the first one's like a drummer, then you've got like a guitarist, the final boss is a conductor. And whilst all of their attacks are inspired by their musical instruments or whatever it is that they're doing, the actual game itself does not necessarily have a rhythmic theme to it. Although some things do require timing to make sure that you can move between platforms, but that's kind of standard for all platformy exploration style games. What I will say though is that the soundtrack to this game is fantastic, but it's one of those soundtracks that you don't notice is so great until you realise that you've been listening to it for a couple of hours and you start to get motifs kind of going in your head. And I found myself kind of humming along to some of the motifs of the music as it goes along. It's this cool, like, smash up between lo-fi beats to chill to styled of music. But there's a composer called Lightformed that I really like, and they do like this blissed out electronica arpeggio style vibes, and it's like a smash up between the two. Really cool. I'm going to check out the soundtrack separately because it got under my skin. But yeah, this whole game just plays really nicely. I do have a couple of annoyances that I wished could get ironed out, and they largely deal around inventory management. Your backpack is tiny, and although it's upgradable, it's not upgradable nearly enough. And the main reasons why I ran into issues around Lila either getting hurt or me getting attacked by enemies was because you have to cycle through your backpack to bring up the item, then you have to press a button to equip it, and then another button to throw it. And doing this all in real time on the fly, enemies don't stay in their same screen, they will follow you and move around. So it felt clunky and awkward, but because in Lila's Skyark the option is always there to run away usually, I ended up finding that I was running away from quite a lot of the battles because I started to find battling clunky. And so just be aware of that going in. Keep your distance, get what you need equipped, and then get going for it and throw the actual thing at it. But what I did find was that I would get annoyed and run out of ammo, and then I didn't want to throw boxes at things because they just seemed like the lowest way to hurt an enemy, and then it draws out the battles a little bit, and I was like, a bit annoying. But if that could be streamlined in some way or improved and made a little bit smoother in an update, that was really the only annoyance that I found with this game. The rest of it is a really intriguing and odd but engrossing Metroidvania that I think people that enjoy story and puzzles over action and battles will absolutely enjoy. So yeah, written review will be over on highplanegames.com in the next day. Any comments or questions, please leave them down below. But this is a little hidden gem, and I think a lot of people enjoy it. Take care. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.